Okay. Is my audio working? Let's see. It doesn't look like the closed cap. Okay, perfect. Closed caption is working. Everything is working. That is good. Let's do this. And we should be good to go. Hope everyone is enjoying your day. It's I don't know if I can say I'm enjoying my day, but it's a day here. It's not bad outside. As you guys can see, you'll see more in just a minute. I'm just getting the last of everything set up. We have actually a fun subject to talk about today. So today, the main thing we're going to talk about is what my opinion, and I'm just giving opinions. I can be wrong, and many times I am. But we're just going to give you my opinion on what I believe is going down in the world right now. And all that kind of good stuff. I'm just trying to get a couple things functioning the way they're supposed to, because I thought I did, but alas, I realized I did not. Okay. That one doesn't. How about this one? I mean, how are we with this guy? Nope. Okay. I can just do this. Perfect. Just what I wanted. Awesome. Great. We should be good now. I should have everything set up, ready to go, accomplished. And we're going to go get the chickens fed and finish the rest of the stuff that I wanted to do. So let's go first peek up at the weather. That might be what you're most interested in, some of you. So current temperature here it's about 58 degrees. So it's a very lovely, nice day on the farm. Very cloudy, gray kind of cloudy. So the plan of action today and everything that we're going to do today involves a lot of interesting things. So we're going to talk a little bit about what I think is going to be happening with the future. So some of you might want to call it World War III. Some of you might want to call it the end of the world, Build Back Better, one big beautiful bill. All of it is involved. It's all been put into place for years and years and years. We're going to talk about that. First thing we're going to do, though, is I'm going to set you guys here for just a second, because I need to walk over to the other side of the barn. Uh-oh. That's not good. Why are you doing that thing? Maybe if I stretch this one out, move this one this way. Will that make it stay? That will make it stay. You guys can look that way for just a minute. Only about 15 or 20 seconds. I walk over here for just a second and see, I need to see what's going on over here. So, I know my shows always take so long to start. It's lots of reasons they take time to start. I've got so much stuff on my plate and want to make sure I've got everything that I can have when I start live streaming. I'll get better at it. One day. One day we will get better at it. Okay. So I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go get the water. And while we're getting the water, we can start building the story. So some of you want to see that I'm real, that I'm a real person. This is me, a real person. Doc or Justin, whatever you guys like to call me. So I am really here doing chores. One, two. And we're going to take these. We're going to fill these up with water first. So, first off, let's talk about what the American Empire is. So, as a conspiracy theorist that I've been for all these years, they've been talking about the North American Union. I'm just calling it the North American Empire. It's this area where they're going to, pretty much where North America is going to become the powerhouse of the world in the future. I think they're doing this for multiple reasons, but one is they actually can do it because unlike Europe, North America is really only three countries. I mean, and even calling it 3 countries is kind of a very simplification, because pretty much the United States actually takes care of Canada and takes care of Mexico. And some people are going to say, yeah, Doc, there's more countries in North America than just those 3. And I'm going to say there is, but there really isn't. Like, most of the other countries that are considered in North America are pretty much under our protection anyways, or under the protection of one of those other countries. So let's establish, and I might even be able to say, somebody might even be able to sell me on the idea that this isn't just a North America thing, that they actually want to unify the Americas. Because at one particular point, the Americas, North and South America, was considered just one like continent. Now that was a long time ago, but it still was something that people did consider. So let's build that premise from that first. One giant continent with a unified plan. I don't even think we necessarily need a unified government, and I don't even necessarily think we need a unified language. I think they just need a unified plan. I think we've actually been building that since probably maybe even the 50s. Maybe sooner than that, but at least probably since the 50s. So, what does this mean for you and me? Well, it means a lot of stuff. It means that the hardship we are going through right now is because they're putting the plans in place. Let me explain. If you take North and South America, you take the Americas, and you look at the water, farmable land, and energy. So that's anything. It can technically be the powerhouse. So you've got Venezuela, you've got Canada, you've got the United States, spectacular at natural gas and oil. Some of the best places for natural gas and oil in the world. Why is this important? Because you might be wondering, why is Iran, why is Israel, why are all these people attacking these oil out in Iran right now? We just blew up one of the largest natural gas plants. They are tit for tat getting rid of a lot of the oil plants. We're seeing oil prices skyrocket here in North America. Actually, probably seeing them skyrocket all over the world. I'm saying that this is done so that it's going to take years to restore some of those, to rebuild, because it's not something that you can just rebuild in, a hot minute. I think they're doing that so that we, us in North America, have the powerhouse of the construction. I think we're done with OPEC. And again, I'm not saying that this is a Trump thing. I'm not saying that this is even just a United States of America thing. I think this is part of the North American empire, which is larger than the United States. Has a lot more to do than just that. This isn't just a simple United States dominant. This is the North American empire. I need to see if I lost the lid to one of those. Makes my job so much harder when I don't have a lid. So I think first and foremost, they want to stop the rest of the world from getting oil so that they can start relying on our oil in North America. I think we're going to start seeing Mexico. I think we're going to start seeing it first with I think the first thing is the test run that they're doing with the FIFA, is because with FIFA this year, and I know this sounds weird to some of you, the soccer organization, but they start things out with normies first. They want to get normies used to getting used to North America, Mexico, Canada, and the United States being rivals, but not really being that much different from each other. So we have the stadiums, and Mexico is starting to allow us to do some things going after the cartels in their country. And we have, I know this is going to sound weird, but we have the Spanish English being able to blend between the two. I think that the North American empire is going to become bilingual. I don't think it's going to be trilingual. I don't think the French, I don't think Quebec, and that is going to have as much of an influence. I think they'll still allow them to have their language and such, but I think that we will become a bilingual empire, because I think there's benefits to being bilingual. I think there's benefits of having especially those two languages, have a lot of say in things. So it'll be very interesting to say the least on seeing what ends up happening. What's up, CyberX Speed? So I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens between that. So the other thing I think that people are missing out that's going on in the war right now is, in a lot of the nearby countries, what's happening is they are evacuating and closing the data centers. Now, why does closing the data centers mean anything? Part of the reason why closing the data centers is because one of the things that North America really wants to do is they want to lock in being the ones with the data centers. They want to be the ones that say, we are the best place for the data center. So you're seeing it, they're putting data centers all around rivers. They're putting you've got that giant one in Arizona. Is it Arizona or Texas? I'm not sure. But you're having the giant data centers being built out there, because data centers are kind of the new factory. They're going to be the new powerhouse to a lot of things. I can't put you there for a second because I have to lift up the curtain. So we're going to see data centers. We're going to see the data centers in the foreign countries get destroyed because they want North America to be the new data center place. Just as America used to be the place where you would get cars, and there's still plenty of places. They understand that they're not going to be able to get the American people to go back to the working class the way they were for quite a while. So but they will be able to convince the American people to allow data centers and that white collar type working and such. So we're going to start seeing a huge, especially, I'm fearful that they're going to try to pick places like Appalachia. The only reason I don't think Appalachia is going to be that important is because we don't necessarily, besides around the New River, which most of the New River is a part of a national park now, or national seashore. So it is going to make it would make it a little bit harder for them to do stuff like that. But I do think that the data centers are going to be put up a lot in the States. So do I think AI is going to take over? No, I don't actually think AI is going to take over. I don't actually think that this is I don't think that this is an AI takeover per se. I think that they understand that we're going to keep using the technology at least until the sun does its thing, which I'm still not sure if we are as accurate as the information. I want to believe that the people are 100% genuine when they start talking about the sun supernovaing. That being said, I also think that they are also controlled, like not by controlled, but they have a particular, they only have the data that they can have, and the data is actually controlled by the government. AI is a lifestyle. I agree. AI reminds me, it feels like it really, as someone in my late 40s, AI really feels like the early days of the internet. I don't actually have a problem with AI. I think used appropriately, AI is a spectacular, wonderful tool. I think that I actually teach a class here at the Mavis Institute about how to utilize AI, because most people are using it anyways, and you might as well use it to your advantage instead of letting it use you. Like what happened with social media. Social media, a great tool, but we let social media use us instead of us using it. And if we allow them to do that with AI, it could be crazy. But AI is just a great tool. Yes, as long as it's not, as long as I can use it the way I want to use it, and it's not something I'm forced. That's why I'm a big fan of it. It has a lot of benefits. One of the big benefits I think people don't understand that I think AI is folks that are in need, folks that it's tougher for folks to get. It's tougher for folks because maybe they didn't get good education, or maybe they're special needs. AI has a lot of benefits on helping people that need the help. That being said, it can also manipulate them. So I do think it's our responsibility as those that know how to use AI appropriately, teach people how to use it appropriately. Because I think that's something that we don't do enough of, is teaching, is us smart people, is teaching the folks that could use the extra help, actually teaching them how to utilize tools appropriately. But I think that part of the reason that we're going to the war here is to get rid of the data centers over there. I think that the North America wants to stop relying on the Middle East, wants to stop relying on the desert. Because it is kind of ridiculous that we rely on them. We in North America should be able to function. We literally can do everything. We have the people. We have the people, the working class and the intelligent. And again, I'm just telling you how I view it. We have the working class, we have the intelligence, we have everything that we need. We also have imported a lot of the stuff from other places. So, we have brain drained a lot of areas as well. Hence the reason why we have an immigration problem. Is part of the reason we have an immigration problem is because we brain drained most of the best people from other countries. So the North American empire, it's just building. Also, let's just say that let's play for a second about the climate change. We're gonna play on this game for a second, because the climate is always changing. It always has been changing. It always will be changing. I don't actually believe it's caused by us humans. I think that all we do is pollute a little bit, and we cause some localized bullshit and make localized areas bad, but I don't think we affect the entire planet. But I do believe whatever's happening with the sun and the atmosphere and everything else, I believe that it is affecting the climate and affecting things in very negative ways. So that being said, with everything that I've researched, it looks like the Americas are probably one of the better places to be when it comes to all of that stuff being affected. So if that's the case, and the Americas, and again, I'm not necessarily saying any particular spot in the Americas, I'm simply just saying the Americas. So the Americas just look like it's just going to be the spot that's going to do really well. The problem with like a lot of Europe is it's just a really cold region. If the environment turns cold, there is a lot of people, especially like in England and even in the Netherlands, that have that live in very cold regions, and if the cold comes back, it could be really bad. Where here in North America, we could always, like, I don't know if you guys ever watched Day After Tomorrow, but one of the things that happened in Day After Tomorrow was a bunch of people from the United States moved to Mexico. And I'm just giving that as an example to try to get people's brains understanding what we're talking about. Not saying that that's actually going to happen, but we have plenty of places in the Americas where you can live nicely around the equator or in the vicinity of the equator, if it even is going to stay as the equator, because there's still a lot of variables to things in the future. Either way, the Appalachian Mountains, where I live, the Appalachian Mountains have been these mountains. They have been above water. They have been the mountains for at least a very long time. So it doesn't matter if you believe that the earth is 1,000 years old, or 2,000 years old, or billions of years old. The Appalachian Mountains have been above water for a while. They've been a decent place to live. Native Americans lived here. Europeans lived here. Us Americans live here now. So a bunch of people have chosen to live in the Appalachian Mountains. There's places, and this is just one of the ones that I know most about. So I think that this is one of the best places to live, because even if the climate does really drastic changes, the mountains can handle it. If it turns to be more tropical, it'll turn into more like a Costa Rica. Some of the plants will be fine. If it turns colder and more like a Nordic area, we can just grow more pine trees and that kind of stuff. Being that where we fall now in the section, we'll be able to adapt in both directions. Short of like volcanoes, that's really the only thing that makes me really concerned about being in Appalachia. But these mountains weren't really formed by volcanoes anyways, so I'm not that concerned. So back to the North American Empire. So I think that they installed Trump. I think that Trump started off as the first term to get everybody so everybody felt like things were going to be different. That's why they then threw in COVID, because they wanted to do a beta test to see how well they could control the world. And the beta test worked exactly how they thought. And I say a beta test because they already did alpha tests when we were kids. Alpha test was AIDS. To see how well they could trick us. Because if any of you guys grew up in the 90s and you remember when AIDS first came out, we were scared about everything with AIDS. We were told if you couldn't do blood brothers. If you don't know what blood brothers is, we both cut yourself and you rub your blood together. We were told about how dangerous AIDS was. It actually stopped almost a whole generation from having children. It didn't completely stop, but it stopped a lot of people from having children. And then it also split the Gen X in half and made like half the generation like worrywarts and the other half just not give a fuck about anything. So they did a good job of all that. So that was kind of that. So COVID was their run for the Zoomers. Because, I want people to also remember, they're letting us know with the way they named the generation. So we had the Greatest Generation, then the Silent Generation, then the Baby Boom Generation, then Gen X, then Gen Y. And yeah, maybe Gen Y also called the Millennials, but most people know it as Gen Y. And then Gen Z. They're telling us that they're ending things. Now, not ending humans. I'm not saying that this is the end of humanity. I'm just saying they're ending the way the system was functioning. So it was time for a functional reset. I actually think the same thing happened prior to the Greatest Generation. I think like during the 1800s, just around the Civil War time here in the United States, I think they also did a type of reset that we don't understand. I think that's why you see so many of the orphan trains. It's why people talk about Tartaria. It's why you see really structures that are really old. Like, for example, my house, it doesn't make sense why they would do certain things. Because my house was built in 1897, so shortly after that kind of stuff. So we still knew some of that technology is what I'm saying. I mean, why don't we build houses beautiful and ornate and elaborate anymore? I mean, rich people do, but the average people doesn't. And this was an average person house. This was a doctor in the area and built the house as a Victorian era. We'll look at it later if you guys want. If you want to see it right now, you can look up Mavis Manor and it'll show up on Wikipedia and you can see my house and such there. Anyways, I digress. I think that probably in the 20s or 30s, they are planning, they know that something's going to happen. It's going to reset things. And I don't want people to be scared. I don't want necessarily to think that the reset means that they're going to kill 1 billion people. I don't think it's anything of that sort. I also don't think there is 1 billion people on the planet. I don't think there ever has been. I think that we have pockets of, I think there's really large pockets of people that live in particular areas, and I don't think it's as widespread as we want to believe it is. I digress again. The North American Union is, the North American Empire is where we're going with this. So they're going to continue on this forever war in the desert because they want us to believe that Israel has this. They want us to believe that there's something important with Israel. Israel is part of the brainwashing stuff. As someone who doesn't believe in desert religions, I actually, with being an American with European descent, I actually say that if you're an American or you're a European, your ancestry did not believe in a desert religion. You were more connected with the land. We were the land people. So people in North America, you have the Native Americans, and in North America, you had the Nords and the Celts, and we were land people. We understood the importance of the land. We understood how land protected us. We lived in the abundance that we take care of the land, it takes care of us. So my personal religious beliefs and that kind of stuff is really kind of irrelevant. People want to know, I usually talk about it, but it's kind of irrelevant to this conversation. I'm just saying that is our ancestry of what we were actually closer to being, what we are closer to linked to. That's why it feels right. It's also why Christianity, because Christianity is a desert religion, it's why Christianity stole so many things from the Europeans, is because they realized that we were right in a lot of ways, and you didn't need to be as warring as stuff like that when you lived in utter abundance, when you lived in the woods, when you lived on plains, when you lived in utter abundance, you didn't need to be so warned. So that's why they took holidays, and that's why they brought in things that they did. You know, I mean, right now, today is technically we are in the equinox. Today and tomorrow is the spring equinox. If you are connected with the land, you understand that this is the difference between summer and spring. This is when you start really noticing things. This is when the trees, if you are pretty much at a particular elevation, this is when the trees and the plants and such are going to really start blooming and start making a difference. And you're going to notice. And that's because we used to be connected with the land. I digress. I'm going completely away from the North American Union, North American Empire. If you look at North America, you go from Canada through the United States, down into Mexico. We have this big slash of land that is just awesome. I mean totally awesome at growing things. We can grow tons and tons of food. We actually could grow enough food for the entire world. Also, you know, forget this whole like everybody could live in Texas. We also, if everybody lived in the North America and no place else in the world, we would still have plenty of space. Even with the fake numbers that they tell us that are on this planet, we would still have plenty of room. So humanity could survive just by living on these two continents alone. They theoretically could survive by just living on the continent of North America, but I like to combine it with the Americas. So we know this. We know that Europe, as beautiful as Europe is, as great as Europe is, it's awesome that Europe has given us tons of wonderful things. The problem with Europe is you've got so many different cultures all smashed up together. And while it does look like in America, it does look like that they're trying to make us believe that they're separate cultures. They're trying to make us believe that the Mexicans and the Somalians, and you've got all this other kind of these Indians coming in and all this other kind of stuff. They're trying to make it all look bad. The truth is once you can get any demographic to be part of American and they actually understand, because sometimes they get caught up in the political bullshit and get tricked into not actually understanding what being an American means, being from the States, being a Yank. Even though I hate that term, Yankee, but being a Yankee, what that actually means, it's that freedom. It's that being able to choose, but also not only being able to choose. One of the things that people tend to misunderstand about here in North America is one of the things is while we were individual, we believe in being strong individuals, we also will help those in need. And we help those in need probably more than most of the rest of the world do. If you look at NGOs and you look at the companies that actually do wonderful things, not the ones that are, doing the horrible things that are controlled by the bad people, but the ones that are actually doing the great, wonderful things. You look at them and most of them are based out of North America. So that says a lot about who we are as a type of people. Why did that happen? Huh. Okay, well we're gonna walk back to the house in just a second because my gimbal just died before I go on to feeding everyone in here. I have a lot to talk about. This isn't just like a half a gimbal day. This is going to be a full gimbal day. Oh wait, maybe here we go. Okay, maybe the gimbal maybe I just bumped something. We'll give it another shot. I think maybe I just bumped something and that was what was causing it. It wasn't that it was is dead or anything. So we're going to continue to see this war continue on. I don't think they plan on stopping it anytime soon. I may even say that they're going to bring in a draft, but I actually have I've been talking about this for years with some of my friends. And actually, when I say they're going to bring in a draft, I don't think the draft is necessarily in the way that we think it is. I think what they're going to do is they're going to make a promise. They're going to tell these foreigners that are here in the country that you can stay being an American, you can get your citizenship, we will fast track you, but you have to go fight for us. I think that's what the whole getting us deporting all these immigrants, I think that was this whole tactic all along, was to get American people around the idea that these people can stay as long as they, prove what kind of American they are. And if they're an American willing to die for our country, I think that most people here, most people in the States would be like, okay, yeah, if they're willing to do that, then I would let them stay here. Because they understand, they'll understand fighting for America, which I actually think is just more of slave talk, because the monster class just likes to sacrifice. One of their favorite things to do is they love to sacrifice us and the people, because we are just nothing but pawns to them. I want you to think about public schools for a second. When you go to a public school, what's it teach you to do? It teaches you to fall in line and to be a cog in the machine. It does not teach you to be a free thinker. It does not teach you how to problem solve. It doesn't teach you actually how to solve the world issues. It teaches you that somebody else, listen to that boss, listen to that other person that knows more than you do, and do what they say. That is really what I feel like they design it to do, and how they kind of design it. So next I'm going to we'll talk a little bit about, so I'm a non-voter, just to make sure we understand that the only thing I vote for is local issues. I only vote for local issues because I don't believe that voting actually does anything. I think it's actually one of the biggest scams out there. I think they trick you into thinking that you select things so that you can actually be angry, so that you can be angry at other people. Hey guys, you want to meet one of our newest guys? This is one of our newest guys. He hasn't got used to being a nice chicken yet, but we rescued him. His name is Ricky Bobby. He's a nice little young chicken. He's a little bit of a dick still, but I expect that. He hasn't learned the ways. And one of my ridiculous streaming nicknames, you guys might find this really funny, but one of my ridiculous streaming nicknames is I am Doc, Master of Cocks. Yes, I did say that right. Not in the, just, I like chickens. I'm really good with chickens. So, I think roosters are completely misunderstood. And I think that once you actually understood the psychology of a rooster, it makes everything a lot easier. Because there is a lot of psychology to a rooster. Their number one goal, I don't know if you guys realize this. We're going to do a little talk here for a minute. But the rooster's number one goal is to protect the hens from all costs. And so sometimes that really does mean that they need to be mean. Because, you need to be able to attack things that are attacking your girls or attacking the girls that are going to help move you forward move your species forward in a gene pool. So. I guess I don't have the camera set up that well for what I'm doing at the particular moment, just trying to get the chickens fed. Okay, so back to our main thing. So I want you guys to think about this. If North America is going to be that, then the things that they want is, first off, the elite want us as dumb and controllable as possible. Because if we're going to be the new working class, and we're going to be the new class, what they want is they want to make sure that Gen Z is the last class of any type of rebellion. So they're going to want to make sure Gen Z owns nothing. They're using Gen Z as a beta test, that you own nothing and be happy. They want to see how well that generation will accept that. And so that's what they're currently doing with Gen Z, is they're trying to see if they can convince that whole generation to just accept that things are going to be a lot harder, and you're not going to be able to own a house, and you're not going to be able to do other things. Then what they're going to do is they're going to take what they learned from Gen Z and they're going to apply it to the alphas and betas, which we'll see if they even keep those names for now. But so, my friend, there is a way. It's called pirate chickens. So what you have to do is you get a dog house. You want to get one of the larger dog houses that you have. And you want to put a door on it so you can close it off. You put some lights in there and you put some stuff, and then you put a little fence, like a dog fence, around the thing. You make sure your neighbors can't see and such. And then you close and you let your chickens out a little bit in the evening, and you let them back in, and you close them in your dog house. And as long as you don't have a rooster, a lot of the HOA will not have any idea, because you're probably allowed a dog in your HOA. So you just raise chickens in your dog house. You get a larger dog house. Get one on the larger side. And if you get weird chickens like this, hold on, let me get her so she's not so stressed out. You get some nice silky chickens like this. You just I don't know. I mean, most people are dumb, so. Okay. Well, the only other thing I can say then is get yourself a giant rabbit, get yourself a giant parrot cage, and raise some silkies like I just showed you. Raise some of those in the parrot cage inside your house. And silkies are pretty chill little birds. They mostly hang out on the ground, and they're pretty quiet. So that could be something you could get away with. Most HOAs, though, I will tell you that most HOAs will allow you to have quail. And quail produce a lot of eggs. So and you can raise quail in like a nice size fish aquarium, because quails are definitely ground birds. They only need about this much like headspace. So a good aquarium, you put some sawdust and some stuff down, and maybe some sticks and some stuff to hide under, and quail, and you could get like 5 or 6 quail. I think it's 3 quail eggs to 1 medium chicken egg. It's not ideal, but it is a way. And most HOAs will not say quail are not considered a farm animal. They're considered more of like a pet, kind of like a rabbit is, or a parrot. And so just another pirate farming option. So yeah, I don't have any quail right now. I'm gonna add quail to I'm gonna be adding quail to my mix later on this year. I'm trying to just re-centralize all of my stuff at the particular moment, because the last couple years I either got way too many animals or I got overwhelmed with things. So awesome. I will warn most people that are raising rabbits to eat. Rabbits are really cute and they make really fun pets, and are probably going to be rather difficult for most people to turn into food. But rabbits are awesome. Love them. If for some reason you don't have enough room for rabbits, there is a large guinea pig that you can switch over to as well for when it comes to homesteading food sources. But anyways, what I was saying is, so they want Gen Z to own nothing. And they actually want to see if they can convince, they know that they're going to not be able to convince most Gen Z to go to war for them. They understand that. That's why I think they're going to bring in the immigrants, and they're going to let them, and they're going to do that trade-off to let them go to war. So okay, got it. That makes sense. Those that don't know, I'm a gentleman farmer. If you don't know what a gentleman farmer is, it pretty much means that I don't... I'm a gentleman farmer, so I don't actually eat any of my own animals. I know that sounds weird to a lot of people, but I do a lot of trading with some people. I mostly raise my animals for their farm benefits, so the eggs, the compost. Rabbits are just genuinely good for soil building because their poop is absolutely spectacular fertilizer. Again, I'm not opposed to eating animals. I'm personally not going to eat any of mine. I can't say that. I'm not going to kill any of mine. How about that? So... have I eaten any of my own animals? Have I eaten any? I think I've eaten a chicken that I helped raise. I think that's probably the closest, but I am not, my woo is too strong when it comes to certain things, and so I am unable to, I do not have the ability. I do not have the ability to kill something unless it is attacking. That's interesting. I wish, if I wasn't in Appalachia, like one of the problems I have here in Appalachia is that very few people actually want to buy farm fresh eggs. One, the people that do want to buy farm fresh eggs, they already raise chickens. Or two, the people that don't want to buy farm fresh eggs, they don't like farm fresh eggs, and so they would rather just go to Walmart and buy their eggs, which is just really bizarre. So okay. Yeah, I had a pig. I had her for 13 years or so. Yeah, about 13 years. She was actually one of the guardian animals. She kept the bears and such away on the property and the coyotes, and she was awesome at keeping predators away. I miss having a pig. That being said, she could escape from any fence. One of the things of having a pig that gets older is they just get more and more intelligent, and she just got smarter and smarter and got to the point where about once a week, regardless of the fencing and stuff that I had, she was able to figure out how to get out of all the fencing. It was absolutely crazy. I mean, it was awesome. It was so cool to learn all of that, but it was absolutely crazy to think that that pig could figure out a way out of just about everywhere. Oh, they are smart. So the whole story of Sylvia is how I got this pig is one day, we'll walk outside and I'll show you in a second, but one day she came running off, this little piglet about this big came running off of the mountain, and I had no idea what to do. And then my horses were chasing this little piglet, and I was just like, so I snagged it because I had no idea, like just little pink pig came running off the mountain. And so I built a little cage for it, and then in a very short period of time realized that what we were holding her in wouldn't keep her in for very long because they're so damn smart that she figured out how to undo locks and such. So I kept one pig because I didn't have a choice, really. I'd never got another one. And I do, in some ways, feel bad that she never had a pig friend, because boy was she friends with the chickens, and boy she had a duck friend that was with her pretty much till the day she died. When she was about 2 or 3, one of our ducks just became like her new best friend and would sleep with her and hang out with her. And it was a boy. He just always hung out with Sylvia. So, but yeah, anyways, one day I might have a pig again, but the problem with having a pig is I could not leave for more than like 2 or 3 hours, because if I left, she would get out, and we have a road not very far away, and she loved running towards the busy road. And you don't want a 600-pound pig on a road that has semi-trucks and cars and stuff like that. So, okay, let me do a quick mental thing, make sure I got everyone fed in here. So all of these chicken tractors go outside once the weather breaks up. So all these guys that are here in these little enclosures, they all get to actually go outside. So, okay, everyone's fed in here. We got. Okay, we should be back. The camera failed for a second, but I'm back. So, some of you have not seen it. This is there's my house. This is the lab. So I have about a 1/4 acre of my 33 acres that I call the lab. And so we do micro experiments. Like I put in a seasonal pond. So that pond, as the water runs off the mountain, it fills up in the pond. And one of our live stream cameras is right there. So for folks that like to watch 24/7, there's some ducks in there. Let's go up to the so Yeah, oh man, elk meat. I love elk meat is probably my first or second favorite meat of all times. So if I could live on elk and lamb, I would absolutely live on elk and lamb. Those are my two absolute favorite meats. So well, I'm going to show you, we're going to walk out to the field in just a second. I don't know why the TTS is not reading in my ear. I wish it did. See if I reset my glasses. So I have not tried ostrich meat. I was going to raise ostriches at one particular point because they're so cool, but no, I've not tried ostrich meat. I'd probably like it. I realize that I like some of the more exotic meats. So I don't know why the camera keeps failing when I spin the camera around. Okay, so here we are out in the hayfield. So that is our hayfield. My shipping container, my little sister's house is going to be built right there. This is up here where I've got a whole different plans up here for a variety of stuff. But I want to show you. So, oh, anyway, so there's part of the mountain beside us. And it doesn't look like a mountain until you realize that we're actually on top of it and it declines down. So this used to be a fruit orchard that I tried to plant fruit trees, and I did not have the soil good enough here, unfortunately. So it did not do what it was supposed to. We're going to walk over to the just-in-time garden. I want to go check on it anyways. And then on the edge of the Victory Garden. So I am in southern West Virginia. So this right here is what you're looking at, is downtown Flat Top, West Virginia. So I will absolutely, I totally forgot about DMing you. I am sorry about that, classical chick. I will make sure we do that. So yeah, this is southern West Virginia. So the mountain over there. If you look up Flat Top on the map, you'll see my map dot, Mavis Manor. If you're ever down this way, anybody, if you're ever down this way, if you're ever passing down 77, I am literally 5 minutes off of 77. Swing by if you're traveling down that way. I always like to meet people that I chat with. So anyways, we're walking down here to, by the way, if you want to know, Kiwi, my barn cat, is going along with us on this walk. So he's just not very good. He's not a very good cat walker. He's very good at being under your feet. So this is my new raised bed. By the way, guys, I'm gonna try this tactic. So grass kind of grows up all around the edge of raised beds. So I took some shredded paper, let it soak in water for a while, and then I'm posing it around the edge to see if it actually is gonna stop that. This is my garlic. Hi, Kiwi. This is my garlic, one of my garlic beds. And this is my other garlic bed, all heirloom, all varieties of different kinds of garlic. And really like growing garlic. And then my spiral garden. One of the coolest ways to grow gardens. It does really good with herbs and tobacco. And I'm not talking about marijuana. I'm talking about just different types of herbs. But so it spirals around, and then you can walk in it, but you can easily access it on both sides, and then start building topsoil and start building stuff on it. Love it. It's a fun way of gardening. So I've got a cemetery here, because that's how old where I live is. We have a cemetery in the middle of our property. And then our family cemetery we're going to be putting right there, because why not put one right next to your cemetery? And let me show you one other thing since we're out this way. I didn't know this was going to turn into let's talk about permaculture and gardening stream, but that's okay. It's what it did. This is my, we're talking about swells. You want to move to West Virginia? Well, you absolutely should move to West Virginia. It's a great place. Move to southern West Virginia. Move to Mercer, Summers, Wyoming. Oh yeah, yeah. No, part of it actually does. It gets my brain thinking about that kind of stuff. Absolutely. So this is a swell on contour. So what does a swell on contour mean? So I just want to explain it to what a swell on contour. So as you see, we're going uphill here. So we have uphill. So the water rolls down here. It gets into the swell, it sits here, and then this swell's fairly flat. It does actually go downhill a little bit. And then it comes here, and then I can plant fruit trees and other things in this swell. And what it does is it slows down the water. So this is swell on contour. I will show you my other swell on contour. Because of how steep this is, I decided to do a second one. So if water penetrates and gets past that one, I put a second swell on contour. Some of it's not completely finished yet, but there's another swell. So some of the water is going to come off of that hillside too, and then it's going to come down here. It's going to sit in the water, and then there's a little bit of a bank running right here, and you plant stuff. And so what happens is the water runs here, or snow, it sits in here, and then because water naturally wants to go downhill, it's naturally going to keep going this way, but it's not going to go fast. It's going to go slow. And so the plants and the trees and such I have here. So right now I have fruit trees. Next year I'll have fruit. This year I'll have fruit trees and tobacco. And so I'm going to be actually putting a gate in there so it's easy to walk through there. Right now we're just going to climb over this fence. Oh, before we go over the fence, I want to show you the hugelkultur bed. So spring and fall, we have high winds and heavy rains. Winter, we have ice storms. Summer is the only thing you really have to worry about is lightning. Tornadoes, extremely rare because we are pretty much in a bowl. Actually, if you guys are interested, I'll walk all the way to the top of the mountain. I'll show you guys the top of the mountain. But anyways, before we go in this is my hugelkultur, my beginnings of a hugelkultur bed. So what you do is you pack up sticks and such, you get it about 6 feet tall, then you start putting dirt over top of it, and then you start growing on both sides of it. And because I have this north facing and south facing, you're going to have two distinctly different ecosystems. So different things are going to grow very well on each side. It doesn't get above 90 is rare. Like, I have been here for 20 years. I think I've seen 11 days in the 90s or higher. So 90s are rare. It does get cold, especially here where I am on the mountain. Let me get over this fence real fast. So we're going to walk to the pond. So probably this fall or next year, I'm going to convert this pond into my main protein source. I was reading about how to convert ponds into awesome protein sources with catfish, duckweed, and ducks. Because I already have bluegills living in here. You would add tilapia or bluegills if you don't have either of those. But I already have this pond this pond is already full of bluegill. So we'll walk over to where I have to be fixing up my dam. I have these tires here to help slow down water and to make an earthworks dam. So here's my pond. So it's this pond is roughly a 1/4 acre, maybe a little smaller than that, because I am including some of the swampy areas that are around in that math, and I'm also including what size it'll be when it gets to its optimum size. So, because this is pretty swampy all throughout here, which is still useful. I will actually be putting a second pond. Whoa, okay. That's why the pond is leaking so bad. I did not realize that there was a giant hole right here. Interesting. I will have to address that. So, see, See the giant hole that was made over the course of the years? Did not realize that there was a giant hole in my pond. I thought that was the only hole over there. That's cool. Actually, that'll make that, this hole actually will make that really easy to fix, because what I can do is I can come in here and I can put in a pipe. But anyway, so it's fun to walk on this pond. So the pond used to come all the way up to the edge of the water line right there. You can kind of see where the water line used to be. But over time, some stuff has managed it. And that's actually a peninsula. It's actually a peninsula in there, not a water. The water will actually go all the way around that little island / peninsula. So this is my pasture where the cows live. So if you want the perspective, the house, there's the house, the barn's back over there on the other side of those trees. That's the cemetery. Walk through the gardens right here. And now we're walking up the Piper's pasture is what this is called. We're going to walk through the little rain area, because this is kind of fun. This little gully that forms here gets crazy when it rains, and rain just like flows down it, but it does make it a nice fun way to walk up and down. So but yeah, so what we're going to do with the pond is I'm going to be putting ducks in there. I'm going to fix up the pond. I'm going to put ducks in there. I'm going to get some extra duckweed, throw some duckweed in there, and then the ducks will actually maintain it. And because the ducks will poop, the fish will stir up the stuff underneath. Different plants and such will grow. The balance of the ducks and the catfish and the ducks, the catfish, and the duckweed, all three are protein sources, because duckweed is high in protein. Ducks, even if you don't eat the ducks, you can eat their eggs. High in protein, I have no problem eating fish. And so lovely fish and having fresh fish. And so you can pretty much have your own functioning protein source with just a small pond. And it can be pretty much self-functioning. So you don't need to actually do very much inputs. Once you get established, you get everything added there. Maybe you need to make sure the ducks are breeding appropriately. Really, that's about it. Ooh, I feel like a flatlander today. A little hill increase made me a little winded, which is ridiculous. Get in better shape, Doc. Get in better shape. So there's where we just walked. Again, house right there, cemetery right there, barn right there. So this road, which we're gonna walk a little bit, is the original West Virginia Turnpike. So you guys, there's treats coming. Well, if you like scenery, the treat is coming up when we get to the top of the mountain. Which is still a little bit, probably another 2 minutes before we get all the way up there. I kind of took a shortcut when I cut diagonal that way. Anyways, like I was saying, back to the North American. So they're going to do whatever they can to get the folks that don't know how to do anything, that don't have skills, that unfortunately don't have friends or family that they can go to and live on the farm. They really want to get everybody into the 15-minute cities. But they've been talking about this my entire life. So I don't see this changing anytime soon. And they're just actually going to ramp it up. I think their main plan is by the 2030s, by the 2040s, they want to have most people where they want them. Now, some of you wondering, well, Doc, what are they going to do about you? They don't care. They actually don't care anything about the folks that live in the hinterlands, especially Appalachia. One, they know we're just here. We're just stuck. We're kind of like cockroaches. We're just stuck here in the mountains. You're never going to get us out. You might try, but you're never actually going to be able to get us all out. And so they know all of that. Yeah, Kiwi, come on. Don't pee on everything on the way here. Want me to wait up for you? I was going to walk a little slower. The cat will catch up. So I'm not worried. Actually, I'm so not worried that I plan on starting an intentional community here. Don't have all the plans in place yet. I know one of the things is not everybody's going to live here on the farm, but everybody will have access to utilizing the farm and using the farm. And I want to build like extra resources. So there'll be canning stations here. This will be kind of like a community hub. So even if people live within an hour or so of here, they'll be able to come to the community hub. So yes, exactly. Their efforts are definitely better spent in other places because they know, I mean, Appalachia doesn't really have a city. We've got like Asheville, Winston-Salem, and some people will say Pittsburgh. Like that's pretty much the cities in Appalachia. And Appalachia is a large region. It's larger than a lot of countries. It's just, there's just not a lot. One, there's not a lot of people. And two, there's just not a lot that they're going to be able to do because we're just kind of tucked into the mountains. Plus, there's not a whole lot they're going to do with the mountains. They could put in their data centers in some of the hollers, but in reality, the data centers aren't going to do that well here. Honestly, I think their data centers would be a big mistake because I'm telling you, you put data centers in the wrong spot and people will strip them for their copper. So see the cell tower here? Just to give perspective, in a county over, handful of years ago, a group of good old boys went and treed one of those. They dropped it like a tree. So just imagine a cell phone tower falling down, and they did it one night, and they had all their equipment that they needed, and everybody took a chunk home with them. Everybody took a chunk home with them on their pickup truck. So no, land is not expensive. Southern West Virginia is probably one of the cheapest places to buy land. I was telling earlier, the counties that you want to look for in Southern West Virginia: Mercer, Monroe, Summers, Wyoming. And if you are hardcore and you've got self-sufficient, land's cheap, but it's harsh, is McDowell. The reason is most of those counties don't have zoning. So as long as you are outside of a city, there is almost no zoning. So I missed what you said there. It didn't read it to me, and so for some reason I missed what you said. So you lived in Norfolk? Okay. Norfolk is you said Norfolk, right? Not Norfolk. Yeah, Norfolk. Yeah, that's that particular part of Virginia is nothing like what it's like to live here in the mountains. But yeah, if you can go in West Virginia or Virginia, and in Virginia, minus the silly gun rules that are happening right now, there's still great places like Craig County, whatever county Tazewell's in, and a couple other counties right on the other side of the mountains. So you pretty much look for the spine of the Appalachian Mountains, and you want to live close to that spine. A city, a town I would love to live to in Virginia, just because it's nice and tucked. When we get to the top, I'll show you what mountains it's tucked in between. It's called Bastion. It's kind of tucked between two mountain chains. It just looks awesome. So, well, in West Virginia you are. West Virginia is a Constitution carry. So, and actually, when I get my intentional community, I absolutely plan on having all of that stuff. I want everyone to be trained, because I do believe that everybody should be trained with all the tools that you should be trained with. This is intriguing. I don't see this very often. So see this? The cell tower gate is open. No big deal. Just kind of curious why it was open. Somebody cut the lock, or did they just leave the lock open? Nope, they left the lock open. It smells like natural gas up here right now. We're in the military? Okay. I'm very My dad's a Vietnam vet. My partner's significant other is a Iraq vet. One of my good friends that lived down here, he was in Afghanistan. So I was going to be a psychologist for the Air Force, but then 9/11 happened and I chose not to go that route. But that was my plan. I was going to be a psychologist for the Air Force. So I'm very, very military friendly. Also, Southern West Virginia is extremely... Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I can have my own shooting range. There's almost no zoning where I live. I can, as long as we're responsible with things, you can pretty much do whatever you want. How about that? I don't know if you guys, let me see if I can zoom in. I can't, but there's, oh, there you go. See, there's some deers. So, yeah, no, I'm because of places that we have set up on the property, I'm very proficient with the weapons that I currently own. So, cell phone towers, Winter Place Ski Resort, that's why you see the snow. So, that is the East River, the mountain you see in the distance, that is the East River Mountain. That is the West Virginia line. So, right there is Pipestem. That is a fun gap. Right back there where Narrows is. Narrows, Virginia. So right now I'm at roughly 3,700 feet above sea level. That's a little bit higher up on Huff's Knob. So, and pretty much you're looking at the property density. So, house. There's about 1, 2, 3 houses there. There's a house there. There's a house there. A house there. A house there. 1, 2 houses there. My house, my 2 neighbors' house, a house there, and then a house there. So right now I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 houses. So, okay, well, cold is where it gets. So, I have seen as low as -25, but on average, we usually just get into the zeros for about a week or so. And when I say a week or so, it means it doesn't usually get above the zeros for a week. And then other than that, it'll fluctuate from the teens at night to the 40s during the day. So it does get cold. It is a cold region to live. So if you're not a fan of cold, learn to bundle up. Learn to dress like an onion, not like a nut. So we're going to walk over here because we're going to peek into this valley that we can see up this way so I can explain to you what we're looking at. We're going to take a break here on my my couch, my viewing couch. It's an old leather couch. That works really good up here. Actually, it's nice and comfy. So right there in this valley right here, that's the valley where Princeton is. Or if you've ever driven down 77 and you went through the tunnel through West Virginia, the tunnel is about right there. So let me walk over here for just a second to show you. It's one of the other perks of living here. It's a perk and a downfall. If you see the building right there, that there is a natural gas relay plant right there. So we always have access to natural gas. So in our house, we use a combination of gas and electric heat. But I also live in an 1897 Queen Anne Victorian house, and at a particular point, I plan on converting the fireplaces. But the other thing is I also am certified in building rocket mass heaters, and so I plan on, like, the cabins, and when we start building things for the community and such here, I plan on having things set up with rocket mass heaters as well, just in case natural gas or electric ever has a problem. So I just want to see if I can spin it around. I want to see Kiwi. There's Kiwi. He finally caught up to us on his long walk. This is our barn cat. Yeah, you're our barn cat. Yeah, I know. You're a barn cat, and you're really good at finding every tick. Let me hold on. I think it's a tick. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a scar. It's really good at finding ticks. So okay, let's spin this back around and keep going for a walk. So my ultimate plan, it's when I get a team, because right now, even though my parents live here, my little sister moved in, my little brother lives down here, so my entire family is here. My significant other, she lives here as well. The problem is that there's just a lot of work for me, because everybody, with the exception of my sister, everyone, in the nicest way, is not skilled at doing things. Anyways, what my ultimate plan is I'm going to build a pond up here. So I'm going to put a nice pond up here. And then it's about a 300-foot drop from here. Let's just say, so you guys can see it to make things easier. So it's about a 300-foot drop from where we're standing to that barn right there. That's our barn, our garage. My sister's house is going to see here. What I want to do is I want to put water, and I want to put a bunch of small turbines. And during the day, I want to put some solar panels to pump water up, and then have the water flow down the mountain to generate electric. And I want to be able to create my own electric to be able to power most everything we can. So I'd like to say that solar would be enough, but I think solar would just be reliable for the pumps and not necessarily reliable to run power on everything. So that's one of my goals, is to get that particular part off grid. We're gonna walk over here. So that's a nice view that way too. So this is this is why it's called flat top. For those that are wondering, we are on the flat. We're on the flat top part of the mountain. So we live on flat top mountain because it's flat on the top. Because they're very things. Yeah, so yeah, this would be the top of the water table. All the there is no springs on this top. The springs are either down that side or down that side. And I have quite a few springs. We're gonna check out a spring on the way down. I'm kind of curious as to flowing, but we're gonna walk over here. So we're gonna walk over here first, and we're gonna peek down. So this is one of my favorite spots. So this goes for about 2 acres. This goes down, it goes 2 acres, and then it levels out. And right back there is one of the most beautiful spots that we have on our property. I plan on building my house one day down there, completely off grid, kind of built with the local trees, kind of built with my own hands. I want to build my own hands and that kind of stuff. And that's where I'll live, is, my, old mountain pirate. Me will live down there with my significant other. It's just a heck of a walk, but that's what's going to keep me young. Because those that don't know me, I plan to live to 122 because I think it's doable and possible. And if I live to 122, the reason 122 is that will make it so I see the 21st century or 22nd century. So that'll live to 2100. I need to make it to my birthday, October 26th of 2100. And I'll have achieved my goal. I totally think it's possible. So all of my grandparents lived into their 90s. All of my great-grandparents lived into their 90s. All of my great-great-grandparents lived into their 90s. All of my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents lived into their 80s or 90s. If you were able to live into your 80s and your 90s and you were born in the 1700s, then that means you already have the good genes. So I have the good genes. So, okay, we're gonna walk over there. We're gonna walk over there, so. I got a lot to do. I got a lot of people to meet. I got a lot to do. I got to figure out my goal is to, I tell people that I'm gonna be healthy. I wanna be strong and healthy enough to see the end of the world. And then I wanna survive the end of the world, and I wanna rebuild after the end of the world. So, I want to make sure that everybody knows how cool things are. So that's my plan. I don't have many plans. Well, I mean, I have lots of silly little plans, but that's the only really major plan I have. So I got broke. I'm gonna take this with me. There's no reason having a chunk of metal up here on the mountain. So we're gonna walk down here. We're walking over here. We're gonna go check out the spring to see how springy it is. I haven't checked it in a little while, so yeah, this is another really nice. This is where my disc golf course used to be. So I've really thought about that. I've thought a lot about that. I just don't know. I don't know how to do that without feeling scammy is the problem. I don't want to take people's money like in a scammy way. I want to provide them of like a quality service and something of high quality. So I haven't quite figured out how to do that yet. Anybody have any ideas of how I could get sponsors and things of that sort and offer stuff to people without feeling like I'm taking their money and not giving them anything in return? So if you're not aware, so I do run a nonprofit. If you want to see it, it's mavispharmacy.com, and that's pharmacy spelled with an F, F-A-R-M-A-C-Y, mavispharmacy.com. I run a nonprofit where I teach people how to I'm the kindergarten to off-grid living. I'm the kindergarten to permaculture and homesteading. I teach you the fundamentals so that people can learn the fundamentals so that instead of jumping into it completely crazy and not knowing, so people can do that kind of stuff. And if you want to check that out, I teach lots of classes. I will be, now that I'm teaching classes in real life again, I'll be teaching a lot. I'll be redoing all of those classes online. So yeah, I'm not even worried about unskilled people. I just don't want people that have the bad intentions. Because I can train skilled people. Every single person I've ever met in my entire life has a skill, and I actually think I'm pretty good at finding what people's skills are. And I figure out there's a way for everyone to be useful, and as a good captain. So I like to refer to myself as a captain. So well, thank you. I will absolutely keep that in mind. But yes, as a good captain, I view it as my responsibility to know what each individual people's skills are and utilize their skills. So I have to do that with my current family because everybody's got, like my partner, she's not that good at outside stuff, but you give her house plants or you get her to bake bread or to make men clothes or to make things or recycle things. Spectacularly awesome. Okay, so the bathtub is, I see what's happening here, my friends. We need to get this fixed. So there's one of my springs. So your skills, medicine and guns. Well, yeah. Actually, so let me ask you this. You're a great person to ask. So one of the things I wanted to do in my community, one of my dreams to do in a community is to get a young person. So what I want to do is I want to don't knock this over, Kiwi. I'm trying to hold it here. You need to jump off here. I need to fix that. So one of my dreams to do is I want to try to get a young person that wants to go to college to be a doctor or a nurse practitioner or something like that. And the idea is the community, we would pay for that particular person. We would pay for that particular person to go to school. And in return, they would come to our community and be our doctor. Now we supply them so they would kind of be like a lifetime thing. Now we would always supply them housing. We would supply them every basic needs that they need. They would just pretty much live in our community and be part of our community, being our community doctor. That means that they get to regularly know every one of their patients. They can spend as much time as they want with each of their patients because they're our doctor. And they never have to worry about their housing. They never have to worry about food. They never have to worry really about anything like that, because we're going to take care of all of that. If you were young, and maybe even if you had your mindset that you have today, but if you were young, would that have been something you would have considered? Because I like to ask people this because I just don't know. I don't know if there is people that would even consider something silly. Okay. I don't have it perfect yet, but we're working on it. Ooh. Okay, so that's not quite. I put that like that. And I put this underneath of it like that. Oh yeah, no. There'd be a lot of interviewing process of the individual and stuff. Yeah, there would be. Yeah, no, there would definitely would need to be able to, vet the person way ahead of time, making sure that they actually understood the commitment that they were doing, because this is a commitment. This is a commitment not just for them, but for they're going to be a very important person. Older folks will know what I'm talking about. If you guys ever watched, the idea is kind of like Northern Exposure. If you guys ever watched Northern Exposure, you kind of understand what I'm talking about. But the idea would be something like that, except for they would be committed for probably a little longer than just a couple years, probably as long as community existed. And then maybe even some variables. If something happened with the community, we would have it so that they could so that they would actually acquire something out of the community if for some reason the community went away. That way they weren't left high and dry, because the last thing I ever want is people to be left high and dry. So I want to I think I'm going to take some of this crap out of here, even though these are oak leaves, so they're actually not that bad to have in here. But I do think I'm going to take some of them out right now. I just want to make sure there's not like... Yeah, the pharmacology thing would be interesting, because I'm not sure. The family doctor's kind of the main one, because if we're at the point of needing a surgeon, we're probably also going to need a hospital, and I don't think we're going to be able to afford to build a hospital. So with the idea of having a surgeon, we would just have our family doctor, we would have our community doctor be able to talk to the surgeon and be able to explain everything like that. They would need to be an old school GP. So they would need to have the skills that, instead of just a general practitioner, they need to have the skills that general practitioners had when we were all younger. I agree with you there, but I'm not sure that other people that have grown up in the 21st century would be okay with that, unless they lived in the third world country or have been in a military setting. Just my honest talking and interacting with people is what I've found, is most of those people are not going to be okay with that kind of stuff. So I think I can, let me take off my glasses, and I think I can get a drink from, I want to get a drink from that to see how well it's tasting. So give me just a second. I'll just come down. No, that's good. No, I agree. I think though, a general practitioner, if we just got a GP, a family doctor, a family GP, I think that we could handle a lot of stuff. We'd be able to do a lot of stuff with that. I think that would be a good first start. And maybe as the community got bigger, it might make sense. Or even specialize in someone that wanted to be a an ER doctor and let them go through the ER training, because I've known some folks that are ER doctors, and the skill set that they actually have to have is pretty amazing. Even ER nurses are pretty amazing, the skill set that they have to have. So, but yeah, it might even start off with the first person that we put through, just because just to understand, is we might even put just someone as a nurse practitioner, because the nurse practitioners can do so much now. I mean, a lot of times when I had to go to the doctor so many times this year, a lot of the people that did a lot of the work with the cancer that I had on my back and the giant hole I had in my back were nurse practitioners. So, by the way, I don't know if if any of you guys use Discord. If you do, it should be linked somewhere it should be linked in my description or in my bio or something like that. Or you guys can send me an email, because I know my emails are. If you guys use Discord, anybody, this is welcome to anybody, but especially you guys, if you guys use Discord and you'd like to have more conversations, I do a lot of conversations on there and such. Ooh. Okay. I had not thought about that. Oh, yeah. Snagging a military doctor. Ooh, that is something I had not thought about. They only require, so in my experience of talking to them, they actually only require them to do the final sign-offs on what they finally say. They don't require a doctor to be present during most of the scenarios. But the military doctor, that I had not thought, that did not cross my mind at all. That's a great one. I like that too. Lark24 over there, a kick. Thank you so much. No. Yep. That's pretty much exactly how it works down here. There's one doctor, 4 clinics, and every once in a while the doctor will come in and oversee certain things. So yeah, and the fact is I think some of the people that would actually probably, the kind of people in my community would probably be very the doctors would actually, the military doctors would probably fit in very well with those type of people as well, because we're going to have a similar mindset on things. Man, that is thank you for telling me that. That is absolutely spectacular. By the way, even if you guys don't use Discord and you want to just you want to chat with me or stuff like that, hit me up on my email. It's either xdrfirefly or yes, or Mavis Pharmacy. That's pharmacy with an F at gmail.com. So either one of those, you guys can hit me up there. I'm working really hard to try to find I want to start building high quality communities of really, really good, smart people that need to think outside the box, because I love some of the people that I have in my current community, but they are folks that I built around when I was working on building my bed and breakfast, when I was working on building certain things. And so you get caught up with a particular kind of mindset. And I really enjoy people that think differently than I do, but still in the same trying to save the world type of mindset. So anybody, I'm just offering that out to anyone. I'll share lots of knowledge with you. Or if anybody out there wants seeds, I'm on the process of getting ready to, every year I mail out seeds to people. for folks that want to try to grow different things. So if anybody wants to join in and be part of my mailer for seeds, I'll just mail you some seeds, stuff that I think's cool. Or if I know what region you're in, stuff that I can tailor towards your region. The one thing I am telling everyone to grow this year is, I grew it last year and I see so many benefits of it that it is just absolutely worth growing, is tobacco. Forget about smoking, forget everything about the smoking aspect of it. It keeps deer away. You can make medicine out of it, and you can make your own type of insecticides. And all of those are just so cool. The deer alone is pretty much worth it. Come on, Kiwi, we're heading down this way now. So that's one of the things. But if there's other seeds, we collect all of our heirloom seeds. I also, at the seed library, for when I go and teach my classes at the library, the seed library has a library, and I get some really cool seeds at the seed library. So. But I've been slacking at doing my Let's Feed the Chickens, my little hikes and talks like this. So I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to go back to doing this every Friday like I used to. So if you like this kind of stuff, stick around. But no, thanks for being so interactive. It's really fun. It's really fun streaming when I have folks that are interactive. And they've had a lot of people interactive today. Most everybody here on Pilled, but a lot of cool a lot of people. CyberX and Classic Chick, and I just keep calling you Veronica, but that's just because to try to remember people's names, I have to make weird little fun things out of it. So there's where we just walked down. So right up where that big, right there where that big tree is where we were at. For those that want to see, I will spin the camera around again. And then that leads to the pond. So it runs down the mountain, underneath the road, down the mountain there, and into the pond. And then that pond goes all the way down that way and leads down that way. Come on, Kiwi. You're a slacker cat. Walk faster. For being a barn cat. For being a barn cat, sometimes he is really slow. Some of our other cats. So, my cat, who's gone now, that was my first cat I ever had as an adult, Amityville Moore. Probably one of the coolest cats I've ever had in my entire life. But that cat loved me. That cat was like, there we go. The cat was just connected with me. It was one of my spirit animals for sure. Part of my soul family, 100%. Amityville was. That cat, she'd keep up with me. She'd ride up my feet. She didn't matter. I mean, Kiwi's not bad. I'm not complaining about him. He's just a different cat. It's not. So, and then we had a cat, Moby, beautiful white cat. Dumb as a box of bricks, but great for going for walks. And Fernando, our orange guy, he's good at going for walks until he gets tired, and then you have to actually carry him the rest of the way. Typical orange cat, really. So let's spin this back around. Okay. Man, I really like the idea of the vet thing, man. So yeah, so I have 33 acres. You guys seen a good portion of it. I'm figuring out a way. We're going to figure out a way to build a community. Oh, so anyways, you saw that spring. There's another spring there. So I have probably one of the best springs on the property, which I need to get up here and clean it out. We're under that chair. There's a box right there that actually used to be the community spring. So everybody used to collect water from that spring before all of us had water. So there's a spring there. And then I have another one right by the barn. When we head back to the barn, I have another one right by the barn. And and then seasonal spring. Oh yeah, they have another one on the other side of the mountain. Actually, two on the other side of the mountain. So tons of springs here. Like water's never going to be an issue. It never has been an issue. Come on, Kiwi. You know where you're at. I don't have to worry about it. You're not going to get lost now. You're on the road. I know you've walked up this way, so I'm not as concerned about him. I didn't want him to get lost. We were at the top. Not that I say a cat's going to get lost, but just don't know. Just don't know. So here's the top side of the cemetery, looking down on it this way. And so you can see the hugelkultur bed. You see the spiral garden. It's a lot cooler when it's got stuff planted in it and all the other fun things. So yeah, it's just building a community. Anybody that is interested and you want to learn more about it, I'm going to have a whole community page on the Mavis Pharmacy page. So the community will be called like Mavis something, because I pretty much name all my companies. Everything that I do, I try to put in the name Mavis. So my house, which is Mavis Manor. Look it up on Wikipedia. Built in 1897, Queen Anne Victorian house. Was built to be the hospital for the area. So my property is the Mavis Pharmacy, or you also see it as my nonprofit's name is actually the Mavis Institute, but my gardening stuff is part of the Mavis Pharmacy. The Mavis Institute is my all-encompassing skill-based education. And then my streaming, you'll see in the little corner, it'll say Doc Mavis, because actually Dr. Firefly is the name I like, but Doc Mavis is to join everything together. I got Kiwi's on his way. I see him. He'll be fine. So, anyways, I want to thank everyone for hanging out with me today. It was a good time going for a walk. Got everybody fed. Went on a nice walk. Went to the top of the mountain. Met some cool people. Did some cool things. Drank some cold water. Fixed that thing. So I'm actually going to have water in there, because I wouldn't have caught that if I wouldn't have went up there. So what's up, Duck? In your doghouse. Duck in his doghouse. So anyways, friends, I think we're gonna head in. I got a few more things to do. Little duck pond I built. So I got a few things I need to be working on and doing. How is that holding water? That's holding water pretty well. About what I wanted it to do. So yeah. Bye. Have a wonderful day. So we'll walk up the front steps and we'll call it a day. So come and get that bag. I'll get that bag right now. And a little piece of trash. Anyways, for those that have not seen my house, there's my house. That's kind of why everything is kind of mirrored around this thing, because I just love old things. I love old houses. So my old house built in 1897, Queen Anne Victorian. Come on, Fernando. I just trade kitty for kitty. So there's Fernando. You can just hear him meowing his face off. So we'll let him pass by. Right, Fernando? Got it. So an orange kitty. So a gray kitty turns to an orange kitty. Anyways, friends, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for going for a walk. Everybody, thanks for that kind of stuff. We'll probably try to do this every Friday from now on, because it's nice again when you get all the chickens fed and everything else. So anyways, me and my sister will probably play some games tonight. So all you guys that are watching this on the place I play games, I will see you guys then. Other than that, I will see you guys all tomorrow. It's Doc. Adios, guys.